Hello. I rolled for this recipe. I'll put that at the end of the video, so if you want proof that I actually did, it's there, so I don't have to bore you with that at the beginning. We will be making a recipe out of the Beta Sigma Phi Comfort Foods cookbook from 1989. We will be making Snickers Dessert out of this cookbook today. There's like two vibes I get from this recipe. One is that it's going to be pie-like because we're going to bake a shell and then put ingredients into it, and those will cool in the fridge. And then the other vibe is, all right, well, we'll see if I can do the accent. Minnesota salads that aren't really salad. So our first step is to combine the first 4 ingredients into a bowl and mix well. The first 4 ingredients are, we need 3/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. We need 1/3 a cup of butter softened. It's been sitting out at room temperature for about an hour or so, maybe a little longer. Our next step is 3 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar, aka powdered sugar. Then 1/4 of a teaspoon vanilla extract. I'm using imitation vanilla flavor. That is the first 4 ingredients in a bowl. So now I need to mix well. I'm going to start off with my little spatula here to kind of distribute the butter, and then I might try and whisk it depending on how this comes together. With it being submitted from Michigan, and the fact that we are currently in a winter weather warning and a wind chill warning because it's going to be -25 for the wind chill tonight. I mean, I think we could probably call it a Minnesota salad that isn't really salad. We'll take 2 hours north to the great state of Minnesota, or at least we'll pretend to via this recipe. I know this really doesn't qualify as a Minnesota salad that aren't really salad. I don't know why I just get that vibe. It's probably the Snickers, because we're going to be putting Snickers in here, and that seems to be a common theme in about anything that Midwestern mom makes. I might use the whisk now and see if that helps any. Okay, I think that's way better combined now. Next step is to press into the bottom of a 9-inch pie plate. I'm going to try and make the bottom pretty even in here. We'll see how it works out. Here's our first 4 ingredients pressed into the bottom of a pie pan. I think it's fairly even considering I was pressing it down by hand. We are now going to pop it into the oven that's been preheating at 400 degrees. It says for 10 to 13 minutes or until light brown. While our bottom crust is cooking, I will be cutting up the Snickers part of this Snickers salad. It just says chopped. It doesn't say finely, coarsely, anything like that. We need 3 2-ounce bars. I did not find any 2-ounce bars. I have 1.86-ounce bars, 3 of them. That's the closest I could find, so that's what we're going to settle with. Also, chopping these are kind of hard because the caramel is sticky. And then, I mean, you have to go through peanuts, which isn't like the hardest thing, but alright, we're going to use a heavier duty cutting board so that I don't accidentally need stitches. Let's see if this one moves less. I'm going to try and go a little bit finer. I'm not a huge fan of like whole peanuts and desserts. I know there's still going to be peanut chunks because it's Snickers, but maybe the finer will kind of help. All right, I'm having a lot of slipping with the cutting board. I got a heavier cutting board and that helps some, but we're still moving. So I have this damp cloth under the cutting board will kind of help it stop from moving, which it does a pretty good job. Like, I'm not putting all my weight on it, obviously, but like, Here's our crust after coming out of the oven. It looks like it has at least started to get golden brown. I left it in there for about 12 minutes. Our next step is to sprinkle 1 cup of the Snickers into the prepared crust. It doesn't say to let it cool or anything, so we're just going to go ahead and throw them in here. The pie pan's still hot, so I'm trying to be careful with the spreading to not accidentally burn myself. With our 1 cup of Snickers in there, I am going to move this to the side so we can do the next step. For our next step, we need the big guns. So I've pulled out my stand mixer. I'm using the whisk on it. It doesn't say what kind of head to use, but we're going to be beating heavy whipping cream until it has stiff peaks. So to me, the whisk makes the most sense for that. We need to beat cream, sugar, cocoa, and salt in a chilled mixer bowl. I have not brought out the cream yet because it wants it cold, so I've been keeping it in the refrigerator to make sure it's as cold as possible before adding. The bowl is supposed to be chilled. It definitely is. It's been in the refrigerator probably close to 2 hours now. To our chilled bowl, we need to add 1 cup of the chilled whipping cream. We need 1/3 of a cup confectioner sugar, aka powdered sugar. We need 3 tablespoons of baking cocoa. I'm using the unsweetened cocoa powder. And then we need 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. So, hardly any salt. Now that's all combined in our chilled bowl, we are going to get to mixing. We need to mix that until we have soft peaks. I'm going to start it slow so I don't blow up a lot of the powdered sugar and cocoa. We're getting a lot sticking to the sides, so I'm going to turn it off here for a second and scrape the sides down. When I scrape the sides down, I always try and move the powder that I scraped off kind of towards the middle so it doesn't just blow back up onto the sides. I think that's a soft peak. It's definitely not a firm peak, and it's a peak, so we're going to add what's left of the Snickers in, which is not a lot. That's how much we have left. We are to gently fold the Snickers in here. I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of gently scrape the bottom also and make sure there's not any clumps down there that I missed or anything. Kind of the same with the sides. Our next step is to pour our fluff into the pie pan. It looks like the Snickers might have melted a little bit from the heat, but not too bad. The pie pan's still a little warm. Not so bad that I think it would burn you, but be careful. Now that it's poured in, I'm going to spread it out a little bit. It doesn't say to do this, but I'm assuming logically it would make sense that it's not just a ball in the middle. It says to chill until serving time. Since it's still a little warm, I'm going to put it in there for a few hours. I'm assuming that this is a best cold dessert, especially with the whipping cream. I'll put it in the refrigerator for a few hours, then we'll try it, and I'll report back like usual. All right, we're going to roll for recipe. I don't feel good, so this isn't going to be super fancy. 2, local and family. It's a 6, so the bottom third of the list. Then I need to roll a D8 to decide what cookbook I'm cooking out of. 7. 7. Okay. The beta Sigma Phi comfort foods.